what is gender? Well, typically the way I teach it in my sociology of gender class is that there is biological sex, and these are the differences, physical differences
between male and female.
Male and female,
Okay.
yeah. And then gender are the social meaning that we give to those physical differences. And so, I mean, much like race, right? There are some phenotypical differences between people, but the concept of race is a really socially constructed one that depends, in this country is largely constructed through the history of slavery, et cetera. It's a social arrangement, and similarly with gender. So the fact that, pilots are more often men than women, that's not due to some biological difference. That's due to social differences that we ascribe to, at the end of the day, pretty small biological differences.
Meaning that a man who is a pilot is more likely to get you there safely than a woman because he won't freak out if something should go wrong.
Well, so that those I love that you raised that. So that idea that like women are non-rational or hysterical, that is a kind of that is a stereotype. Stereotypes or preconceived notions that are completely false of African Americans being less intelligent than whites, completely unfounded.
I mean, the average IQ in Africa is 70. Okay, and not only that, they choose to get the degree in what they want. It's not like people are pointing a gun to the men, telling them to get the degree, and pointing a gun to the women and saying, no, you can't. It's a choice. Who is playing the victim, these people?
I thought that was true.
Based on what my research know, it's absolutely not true, but it's a very useful way to justify subordinating a group. And similarly, for women, you put your finger right on it. Women being more emotional is one of the ways that they have been said, well, this person couldn't possibly be in a position of power or control because, how could they have access to like nuclear weapons, right? When they're on their period, they're just going to press it. They
But
tend
who's
to
more
vary
likely
by day.
who's more likely to freak out in a situation, a man or a woman?
I don't know that we know that.
I noticed that when lately, I get on a plane and sometimes I see females who are pilots, but there are men with them too.
Making sure they don't freak out.
Thank God.
I remember once I got on a small plane going from somewhere to somewhere, and there were two female pilots, right? I felt very concerned, very concerned. Whereas had it been two men, I would have felt no concern about it, because I know that women tend to overreact to things because of their emotions.
I think
in
that
gender study, do you study why that is?
Well, what we would study is why you would feel that way, and that and how those fears that are actually not any more grounded than some of the other stereotypes we have of other people. It's the white men who are more likely to be the pilots and the surgeons and the CEOs, and women of all races and men of color who tend to be moved into, tend to be have a harder time in those more powerful positions. And so we, in sociology of gender today, and it hasn't always been the case, Black feminists have accused, very rightly so, a lot of feminist authors and gender studies authors for not sufficiently taking into account race. And so I think the best work happening now in gender studies is intersectional, and it's looking not just at how men and women are treated differently, but that knowing that you're never being treated or viewed as just a woman or just as man. You're always being treated as a white man, a black man, a white woman, black woman, and all of the other possibilities, age and nationality, et cetera.
You mentioned the white man and the pilot, for example. In America, it would be natural to see more white men flying airplanes, because America was created by white people, founded by white people, by white men.
Built by black people.
And then they hired the black people that the Arabs brought in to help build the country. But if you went to Africa, where there are majority blacks, then you would see more black pilots and less white men driving or flying the plane. Am I right? Because of the population.
Well, it's the population, and it's also systems of inequality that are not just historical, but get reproduced every day and are very contemporary.
But you do agree that the population has something to do with it too. If there are more white people or black people in Africa, naturally you're going to see more
So there's
of
not
that
many.
race.
There are not many Jewish people. 1% of the population. I think Jews are only about 1% of the U.S. population too, and yet you see them nonetheless in positions of authority. This is now we're moving a little bit out of my area of study because I am not a race scholar.
But I just want, because I'm trying to understand it, but you do consider the population too, right? That if there are more,
Well, I mean,
if you go to Israel, of course you're going to have more Jewish pilots because there are more Jews.
There's also a
in
lot
Israel,
of
right?
there's also a lot of discrimination and oppression of Palestinians in Israel, so that's part of it too. But no, I mean, just go back to women. Women are over half of the population, and yet we're not half of the pilots. We're not half of the doctors. We're not half of the surgeons.
But you choose to not do it. Like, what is wrong with these people? If you don't get the degree, and even, a lot of them even get the degree, but still don't end up in that line of work. So it's a choice. You make that choice. What the fuck?
We're more than half of the nurses. We're more than half of, a lot of other professions, social work. Women are very underrepresented also in the trades, construction.
But that's because they got a late start.
Why is it that we see these patterns in which different races, ethnicities are not evenly or randomly distributed in terms of profession?
But life doesn't work like that. Nothing is evenly distributed. Before I get to your new book, I want to ask you about fatness.
Sure.
Right? And what is your opinion on fatness? What do you think about it?
So
Because I noticed that people are trying to push fatness like it's a nice thing, right? You got all these fat women running around half naked and showing their fat butts and shit.
So where's that? I haven't seen that spot.
There's one black rapper right now, woman.
Lizzo?
Yeah, she is gross and she's old and she's fat. And
No, that must not be the person
rapper.
we're
Is it
talking
Lizzo?
about. No.
Yeah, Lizzo.
She's not old.
She was at a fat
If
bar.
Lizzo's old, then I'm ancient, and let's not even start.
I'm ancient. God made me, and then he made dirt for me to walk on. But that's how old I am. But what do you?
Lizzo is pretty gorgeous, in my opinion. But
what do you think about fatness?
So
what's your opinion?
So I mean, I published this book in 2013, What's Wrong with Fat? And what I was trying to answer in this question was, how is it that we have come to believe in this world, and your statements are a great example of this. How have we become so certain that it's unhealthy, it's undesirable, it's ugly? Like, where is that coming from, and what are the social implications of that?
So let me ask. I'm black and I'm slow, so I may ask in a weird way. Are you trying to prove that fatness doesn't cause diseases and death, or it's not? It doesn't cause high blood pressure and all that stuff?
I'll leave to the epidemiologists and the medical doctors to debate that out.
But
what I do
are you trying to
show
prove that it's attractive or something?
Being discriminated against also raises stress and cortisol level, which causes more weight gain. And in fact, one of the things I show in the book is all of this anti-fat bias that we heap on people because they're heavier, and we tell them you're ugly and you shouldn't, and you shouldn't be going out. Like, that actually has been shown to make people heavier.
Would you want to be fat, you personally?
Would I want to be fat? Would I want to take on discrimination and be mistreated in society? No.
So you're saying that being fat, people are discriminated against them, right?
There's a lot of discrimination.
And that put on stress for the fat person, and they get fatter.
There's a lot of evidence that is what happens.
So now that white people, especially white men, are being discriminated against, should we expect to see a lot of fat white men?
Fat white men are being discriminated against, really?
Should we be able to see
a
a lot of fat
flash?
white men? So what is fat phobia?
So hold on. If you get fat shamed and you're a white man, well, we will just pretend it's not happening, okay? But if you're black, if you're a woman, and if you're a fat, then they care, right?
So what is fat phobia? What is that?
So, you know,
You
and
write
this,
about that,
this, yeah, this actually starts to link into my new book a little bit.
Yeah.
Come out, whoever you are.
Right.
Because this term fat phobia is borrowed from, it's inspired by another word. Can you guess what term? Fat phobia. There's another kind of phobia we talk about a lot.
White supremacists.
I mean, white supremacy is a real problem, but a word that has phobia in it.
White phobia.
Homophobia.
Oh, that's
So-
where fat phobia came from?
Wow.
I believe so.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. So fat. So
Wow.
and one of the things that I found really surprising when I started doing research at the fat acceptance movement in the year 2000. Can
Fat
you believe
acceptance?
Yeah, I went to the National Association to Advance Fat Acceptance, was holding a conference in Cherry Hill, New Jersey. The fat acceptance movement has really taken inspiration from the gay rights movement and the LGBTQ plus movement,
Beautiful.
and has, you know, by using the similar terminology, is saying, you know, this is like being fat is like being gay.
Amazing.
We're discriminated against, but also, you know, you've been asking me questions that kind of assume like it's a choice. Would I want to be fat? Why do people? Can you tell people not? But there's actually, and this is not my research, but there are geneticists who have shown that body size is just as determined by genetics as is height. Require an explanation.
So what you guys are trying to
social
do, if I'm
explanation.
hearing this correctly, you're trying to convince society to accept fat as a norm, not look at them and think, wow, that's a fat one, right? You're trying to cause society to see an abnorm as a norm. Would you marry a beta male?
That's a personal question. I'm already married, so I can't. My father used to
Is
say.
he a beta?
My father said about my husband that he's a what did he say? He's a closet alpha. That he's an alpha pretending not to be, something like that. I have to remember. I'll have to ask my mom.
Oh, so
But
you were really an alpha male, but he pretended to be a beta male with you?
Sure.
that he didn't come off as he comes back as more laid back than
More
maybe
like a
he
beta
really
male.
is. Yeah.
Amazing.
But yeah.
The Me Too
To
movement,
be with you.
you heard
Sure.
of that, right? Wouldn't you agree with me that they've gone too far with that? It's a joke now.
No, I would not agree.
Why not? Why not?
We have so far to go. So I mean, the truth is, it's a real problem, and a tiny proportion of victims ever come forward. It's just so hard for women to win, even when they're telling the truth again and again, which is the overwhelming majority of the time. It's very rare that women.
You know
make
why
up
that
these
is,
up.
right?
Why what is?
Why sometimes women don't win when they make these accusations. You know why they don't win sometimes, right?
Well,
can
what
tell you why.
what you're gonna say, I'm
What?
sure is not what I'm gonna say.
When you say
but
why
this
is
is
it-
your show.
No,
so
but
you
you might
should-
guess. You're the expert. Why is it sometimes that women don't win those cases?
Well, it's very hard to win a case in criminal court of sexual assault.
Right.
The whole criminal system is based to, and understandably so, rightfully so. What is much more common is so many more women who are victimized who never come forward.
That's not true.
No, it actually is true.
No.
Believe me, I'm the expert. That's why you brought me
Yeah,
out
you're the
here.
expert.
I'm telling
You're
you,
the
it's
expert.
true. You might
You're-
not like to
Listen,
believe it, but it's
you're
true.
the expert, but I have the common sense. So I know that's not true, right?
Well-
But let me tell you this.
Common sense is is sometimes a dangerous thing.
Common sense is the only way to go.
It leads you to ignore facts and to reinforce your preconceived assumptions.
I know why.
So be
somebody-
cautious about that.
No, common sense is the problem is people don't use common sense anymore. They use the intellect, and the intellect lacks common sense, and that's why the world going to hell in a
So
handbasket.
why the hell am I sitting here?
Do you use common sense? You don't use
I
common
do
sense?
use common sense, but I'm saying
I
preconceived
thought
notions.
you used common sense.
Of course I use common sense.
Oh.
But I also like to see the facts and the studies, and I know that we can often assume things are right, based on what everybody else, the kind of preconceived notions, and those are often wrong.
Let me ask you this because of time.
Yeah.
Some of the time, the women, most of the time, even though the courts are on the women's side, not ladies' side, they can accuse you, say whatever they want, and get away with it. But the reason that I'm glad that a lot of these cases the women lose is because women are not all, but most women are. It's easy for women to lie, and they don't mind destroying you. If they get angry at you, because a lot of women, you hit on them and they go, yeah, I want to do it, let's do it, let's do it. And then as soon as you do it, they get mad because they become addicted to you, they want to control you, and then they'll falsely accuse you. And the courts are set up to believe the woman over the man, so that's why this needs to end, because a lot of these women don't mind destroying men. They'll destroy the men's children in the womb and outside the womb. We need to stop this movement before it goes too far. Don't you agree?
It sounds like you've had some really painful experiences.
Oh, no, I've
with
never
women.
had that. I
I'm
just
really
know other
sorry
men.
about that.
I just know other men who've gone through that. But do you agree it's time to end this type of this crazy and so-called women? And look at the women in the movement. Nobody want them anyway. I think they're mad because no one want them. They're like lesbians, and they're fat, they're ugly, they're short hair. Nobody want them. I think they're mad about that. Wouldn't you agree?
No, I wouldn't. Sorry. I think we're talking past each other.
What do you mean?
I am speechless.
Yeah, you're speechless because you know it's true. Guys, let me know in the comments what you think. If you agree or disagree with Jesse, leave a like if you want to. Christ is King, and God bless.